Hello everyone, this is an October 2019 budget Exodia stall deck profile. So this is only budget in that there's no Pot of Extravagance, but honestly, even though Pot of Extravagance is a great fit in this deck, because you're not using the extra deck at all and the draw power is nice, you don't even need it that badly because there are cards like Mystic Mind and some of these traps that facilitate the stall so well and so smoothly without any struggle from your opponent. They really can't do anything. Attack, activate effects, that cards like Shard of Greed essentially do the same thing. It's very easy to get counters on that card and draw. So Exodia is the automatic win condition if you do see all 5 pieces in your hand, but in order to see all 5 pieces in your hand, you have to survive that long and stall and delay the game. So the whole deck is dedicated to stall cards and drawing and a little bit of spell and trap negation as well. If you're playing this deck online, don't expect to finish any of your games because your opponent will quit every single time. It is super annoying to play against this deck. And at the end of the video, I will be showing 5 more cards that you could include in this deck, but I did not put in the deck. So we start off with the 5 pieces of Exodia. So this is just the super nostalgic Yu-Gi-Oh! Style victory win condition here that is very gratifying to pull off. So more monsters coming up. We have a triple Battle Fader, as well as 3 Swift Scarecrow. So these cards are hand traps that end the battle phase when your opponent is declaring a direct attack. Essentially, they do the same thing, but there are some subtle differences between them. Battle Fader will special summon itself to the field, whereas Swift Scarecrow you discard. It can be different in different situations. Battle Fader is if you are all out of stall cards, then and you want that extra body on the field, then you may want Battle Fader to special summon. Then again, if you have Mystic Mind, you don't want that presence on the field because if your opponent has 1 monster and equal to your Battle Fader, then Mystic Mind will be blown up. Swift Scarecrow does lose to Called by the Grave because it goes to the graveyard. Then again, Swift Scarecrow does not lose to Solemn Warning like Battle Fader does, nor does it lose to Skill Drain like Battle Fader does. So a little bit of difference there, but for the most part, these cards are just hand traps that end the battle phase. And we also have 1 Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. So this is just in here for trade-in. So you search this off of the 3rd Toon table of contents, and then you hope to draw the trade-in because it's the level 8. So spells, 3 Mystic Mind. So I am old enough to remember when cards like Mystic Mind would absolutely be banned. Delinquent Duo, Confiscation, Change of Heart, even Card Destruction before recently, but Mystic Mind absolutely fits into that tier of spells that are just way too overpowered and don't really contribute to a fun gaming experience. If you don't know, your opponent can't declare attacks or activate monster effects if they control more monsters than you, and vice versa. But you know, because there's so little summoning going on, except for Battle Fader, then it's pretty much a lock on your opponent from activating effects and declaring attacks. So you just leave this on the field, and unless they have some form of spell and trap removal that is in the form of spell and trap, like an MST or a Twin Twisters, they really can't get around this card. And I do run Dark Bribe, so it can be incredibly hard to get around this card. Plus, it's a field spell too, so unlike something like Threatening Roar, which I do run, which delays the game for a turn, this will just stay on the field, and you can actually dedicate some of the deck to draw power and other cards that wouldn't necessarily fit into the stall strategy because they don't actually help to stall the game. But Mystic Mind stays on the field. It's just way too powerful, honestly. Wouldn't be surprised if it was limited in the future or even banned. So 3 Shard of Greed. This card is pretty much Pot of Greed, but delayed for 2 turns. You place a greed counter on it every time you draw, and then you send it to the graveyard with 2 or more greed counters to draw 2 cards. It's really easy to get greed counters on this card with Mystic Mind, with Threatening Roar, with Wabaku. These cards just stop your opponent from doing anything. It just shuts down the entire turn. So this is essentially Pot of Greed. 3 Pot of Duality as well. Just like any deck that runs Pot of Duality, it's an essential card in the deck. It's always like the ace card because it turns your normal draw into a choice among 3 cards. So you just having that option, if you need Dark Bribe to protect your Mystic Mind, if you need 1 piece of Exodia, let's say you don't have Mystic Mind on the field and you didn't excavate it with Pot of Duality, you need something like a Threatening Roar. It's just any situation can pop up. It's just a super good card. 3 Toon table of contents. One searches the second searches the third one searches the Toon Blue Eyes, and then you, as I said, hope to draw the trade-in. 1 terraforming to search Mystic Mine. 1 Upstart Goblin for your 39 card deck. Just get to Exodia a little faster. Same thing with 1 Day of Peace. Get to Exodia a little bit faster. The opponent draw doesn't really matter too much. I mean, they usually can't do anything with their hand anyway. And then 1 trade-in for the last spell to discard a level 8 monster to draw 2 cards. Traps, 3 Threatening Roar, as well as 3 Wabaku. So Threatening Roar stops your opponent from declaring an attack. Wabaku makes it so you take no battle damage from monsters this turn. Also, your monsters can't be destroyed by battle, but that doesn't matter too much in this deck. They essentially do the same thing. They're just cards that stop your opponent from doing anything with the battle phase that matters. So you can actually activate these cards as soon as your opponent draws. So if you didn't know, you can activate cards at the end of each of your opponent's phases, as well as soon as they draw for their normal draw. So if you activate Threatening Roar or Wabaku, right when they draw, they pretty much can't do anything to stop it, unless maybe they already have a wiretap set or something like that. But unless that's happening, they just can't do anything for the whole turn. These cards just stop the whole play, and it stalls the game safely for 1 turn. So I am running 3 Dark Bribe as well. You could drop this down. You don't necessarily need 3. This is just to protect the Mystic Mines. And the opponent's drawing doesn't really matter too much like it does. Dark Bribe is usually not too great of a card, but in a stall deck it doesn't matter that much. A lot of times your opponent is not going to be maining, 3 Twin Twisters plus an MST, or 2 Galaxy Cyclones plus 2 MSTs, or 2 Cosmic Cyclones, something like that. This could be dropped down, but I don't mind it at 3. 2 Drowning Mirror Force. So this is the best Mirror Force in decks that can take advantage of it, because you don't have any kind of board presence in this deck besides Battle Fader. This shuffles your opponent's monsters back into the deck instead of bouncing into the hand like Storming, or just destroying like regular Mirror Force. So this is the best one if you can take advantage of it. Like Psy-Frame Gears is another deck that uses this card. And then the last card in the main deck is this Metaverse to get Mystic Mine activated during your opponent's turn for a little bit of draw power or cycling through the deck even on your opponent's turn. So 5 more cards that you could include in this deck. 1 is Swords of Revealing Light. This may be an obvious choice. This isn't a terrible option. It's a little bit more of a proactive move than something like a Drowning Mirror Force, which could make a difference in how your opponent reacts to it. I thought I'd include this in this possible options here. 1 Ojama Trio. So this is to summon tokens on your opponent's side of the field, just to ensure that they have more monsters than you do. 1 Gold Sarcophagus. This is a classic Exodia card here. I thought the draw power was decent in the deck that I built here, and didn't quite need this card, but this is a great Exodia card, because it just gets you whatever Exodia piece you want, and those 2 turns are happening pretty quickly. 1 Dark Eruption, as well as 1 Dark Factory of Mass Production. So these cards, their purpose is the same in this deck. This will recur 2 normal monsters from your graveyard, so 2 of the limbs, and this will recur 1 dark target with 1500 or less attack. So any of the cards, but only 1 of them, any of the pieces. This is just if your opponent hits you with something like a card destruction, or in some way messes with your hand or mills from your deck. That can happen, and there's no backup strategy in the way that I prepared the deck right now, how I just showed you. So any of these cards can create a kind of a safety net. So that was pretty much the budget Exodia stall deck profile for October 2019. Thank you so much for watching. And in the future, I will be doing an Exodia FTK variant, which uses cards like Royal Magical Library. So that's usually less consistent in my opinion, but still fun. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.